Welcome to this learning session on Predictive MRP in SAP Cloud ERP. pMRP Basics Part 2. In this session, we will start by reviewing what we have covered in Part 1. Then we will jump straight into the demo and focus on the simulation itself. You will learn how to manage a simulation, navigate within it, and analyze the results. Let's get started. In Part 1 of this pMRP Basics learning session, we explored what pMRP is and discussed potential use cases. During the demo, we learned how to create scenarios using reference data and simulation data. This provides the foundation for our next step, a deep dive into the simulation itself. Let's find out how to process the simulation, make adjustments, and analyze the available information. To do this, we use the app process pMRP simulations. The simulation is displayed along with a range of additional details, including reference data, delivery performance, status, and available actions for release. Before diving into the simulation, a few options are available. You can copy the simulation, rename it, refresh the reference data, or delete the simulation if needed. The most important function here is refresh reference data. To use it, select your simulation and click the Refresh Reference Data button. A pop-up will appear with options to update demands, stock levels, and possible constraints. Please note, refreshing the reference data does not take master data changes into account. If you have made changes to master data or created new master data, you will need to create a new simulation with fresh reference data. Additionally, you can adjust the settings that were originally selected during the reference data creation. Now let's take a closer look at the simulation. To do so, click on the simulation line. The simulation opens in the Demand Plan Simulation view. The top section always displays the same key information: the simulation itself, the reference data used, and several key figures. In the upper right corner you will find the navigation panel. From here you can jump to the simulation summary view, which gives you a good overview of your simulation. As mentioned, we are currently in the Demand Plan Simulation view. Other available views include Capacity Plan Simulation, Simulation Components, and Issue Worklist. In the Demand Plan Simulation, we get an overview of our top-level materials and their corresponding demands. For example, we see the demand of 15 pieces in March, 20 pieces in April, and 30 pieces in May. This data comes from the reference data we used to create the simulation. We can directly adjust the demand values in this view. The changes will only affect the simulation. Let's add 10 pieces for June and press Enter. On the right side, the inspector will appear. It shows the data we have entered and can also highlight any issues. To better understand how quantities have changed, we can adjust the display settings. By default, only simulation quantities are shown. However, we can also compare them with the original reference quantities. For instance, in March, both the reference and simulation quantities are 15. In June, the reference quantity was 0 and the simulation now shows 10. Another option to view the delta between reference and simulation. Here, all months show a delta of 0, except June, where we added 10 pieces. Though the delta compared to the reference is -10. The final view shows the available delta. That is, how much could be produced based on the simulation data. In March, we planned for 15 pieces. However, based on available capacity, it would be possible to produce 2,142 pieces. Now that we have analyzed our demand plan, the next step is to review the corresponding capacities. To do this, we switch the view. From the Simulation Views drop-down, we select Capacity Plan Simulation. We now see a list of work centers relevant to our simulation. In this example, there are 3 work centers displayed. For each period, in our case monthly, 2 values are shown. If we click on one of these values, for example in March, we can see that the used capacity is approximately 2 hours, and the available capacity is 173 hours. These are the same values shown in the list view. Additionally, we see the top-level materials that are consuming this capacity. In our case, both is the finished good. One related to the demand in March and the other to the demand in April, due to backward scheduling. If we encounter capacity issues, we can adjust the available capacity within the simulation. To do this, click on a work center. Then select the available capacity for a specific month, and click the button Change Available Capacity. Now, we are adjusting the capacity for the assembly work center in March. However, we can also apply changes to all future months or to specific periods. We are shown an overview of the current settings. For example, we can set the capacity utilization to 120%. At the moment, the available capacity is approximately 176 hours. By increasing it by 20%, the new available capacity for March becomes 208 hours. After analyzing and adjusting the capacity for a specific work center, now we move on to the components. To do this, we go to the Simulation Views and select Simulation Components. In this view, we see the complete breakdown of the bill of material. We can see our finished good, the raw materials 1, 2, and 3, and a semi-finished product. Each column displays 2 values per period, the required quantity and the maximum constraint. Currently, no constraints are maintained in the system, so no values are shown at this time. If we expand a node, we can view the sources of supply for each material. For our finished good, we see a production version labeled 1. For raw material 1, we see 2 vendors listed as sources of supply. If we click on a specific quantity, we can trace it back to the top-level material that generated the requirement. That's all for now regarding the component level. Finally, let's take a look at the simulation summary. In the summary, we can review the changes made to the demand level in our simulation. Additionally, we can see the adjustments made at the capacity level. In this pMRP Basics learning session, we took a closer look at the simulation, explored possible adjustments, and reviewed different views such as the capacity view and the component view. By completing Part 1 and Part 2 of this pMRP learning series, you should now be able to create your own simulation and analyze your data effectively. Thanks for joining and keep learning.